everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Good Enough Gaming Podcast. This week's episode is entitled Return of the Macula. You know that I'll be back-cula.
Nice.
Welcome to the plague you don't want to avoid. Well, the game anyway. You are still very much trying to avoid the plague and all those various crazed rats carrying the disease. But this time, the stakes are far less, and you don't have to witness the global disaster that occurred in the 14th century. Unless you really want to, you sick fuck. So if you thought the Black Death was something you could buy at an adult toy store,
Oh, God.
you're in for a shock tonight as we break down Plague Tale Requiem, the prequel Innocence, and the future of the series. This is gonna be sick. For fuck's sake, Daryl.
Love it.
Every week I still come back and do the same thing, and you still give me these ridiculous shit to read.
Yeah.
Polite golf clap, sir.
Every week.
You're all welcome.
Yeah.
So this is a series I am
Unfamiliar with.
I got nothing for you guys. I am very unfamiliar with it. So our plague bearers here are gonna have to
Nice.
give us a rundown.
Should have brought a COVID mask for this episode. It's like, do I have one lying around? No.
No, I mean it's fitting that like we're at the we're kind of around the 4-year anniversary for when COVID really kicked off.
Yeah.
You know, I was just
Crazy.
watching a sort of a TikTok highlight reel today. I think I sent it to you guys.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
Rudy Gobert touching all the microphones.
Yeah, and it's just like this is our plague tale.
Yeah.
And just watching it occur in the sports world, and you know our podcast itself, you know, spawned out of COVID times,
Like a festering rat.
Yeah.
and it just wouldn't die.
Has
Depending on what you think of this podcast.
But anyways, Trevor, Jordan, can you take us through Plague Tale? Can you tell us what it is, why we should pay attention to it, why it's so important, and any other like things you want to talk about?
Enlighten mine and Kyle's innocence.
All right. Jordan, do you want me to take this?
Yeah, you
Okay.
go. Yeah.
Okay. So Plague Tale is from, was it Focus Entertainment?
Yeah. And a Sobo.
Yes. So the first game, this is all set 14th century France, like about the plague.
Uh-huh.
And so you play as, oh shit, why can't I remember her name now? Amicia.
Amicia?
Amicia.
Oh,
It's French. Everything's French.
No, he didn't say he was going to mace you, Kyle. It's not another day.
Not school. Not another day of school.
Yeah.
So you are playing, essentially you are like the daughter of a lord, and your family has some sort of like genetic mutation where every however many
You have
generations. Yeah, no.
X-Men
essentially-
music intensifies.
Christ.
Worst mutation ever.
Yeah. Terrible.
So it's like every 10 generations or some shit, because they tie it back to like the 10th century Black Plague. Someone in this family is born with, they call this the macula, which is essentially like a blood disease. And so you find out early that her younger brother Hugo has this. Meanwhile, it's like 14th century France. So like there's raiders, there's all sorts of shit happening. So your dad gets murdered, your mom gets taken away, and you have to escape.
So a lovely tale then.
This just sets off like a series of events of you trying to figure out what's wrong with Hugo because people are coming after him. And in this one, in the first game, you find out that it's like kind of like a Pope figure who wants to use this because they think there's a power related to it. Everything that happens is related to this power. So he's trying to like
conception,
pretty much.
Immaculate conception.
Yeah. But essentially, the end of the game, you get to this like fucking like syphilis pockmarked Pope dude.
All right.
Who then tries to like inject Hugo's blood and becomes he almost becomes like the bad guy from the first Blade movie, just like a blob. Yeah. Like that's the only way to describe it.
That's a great description, actually. Yeah.
And through this, like, so you have your other friend Lucas. So same thing. It's just like a bunch of kids forming a fucking D&D party. Lucas is like the wizard character. So he's the one that gives you stuff to use. He's like the smart kid. Amicia is like the protector. And then I didn't realize this. We had to look this up. So once you finish Innocence, Requiem literally starts 3 days later.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, it picks
so you've
really fast after.
Yeah,
that's a real sequel.
Yeah, as part of the first one, you save your mom. So you're now with your mom going to another city to meet like a bishop or someone who's supposed to be able to help your brother. Shit goes downhill real quick. Like in the first half hour, you like had to kill some dudes and then you get stopped on the road and you now have to like escape. And it just, it snowballs. It's a constant snowball of fuckery. The best way to describe this, since you guys haven't played this is essentially the most tense moments from The Last of Us in terms of stealth combat for the whole fucking game. It is just stressful stealth combat for like 10 hours of gameplay.
Yeah.
So it's better.
Yes. The story, the story is unreal. It's so good.
Yeah.
What else can I tell you that you wouldn't know? Yes. So at the end of the first game, as Hugo finds out about his powers, part of the stealth and part of the puzzles that you're solving is that there's like, I don't know how they program the physics for this. Like there are swarms of rats and they are like individual rats.
Yeah. There's thousands of rats on screen at once. Like they will come they will break down walls and they will pour out, and then there's rats and you have to use like things like fire to like create like safe zones. Yeah.
And then you have like your burning stick that's burning out, so you have to get to the next safe zone.
Like do the rats hurt you or are you using them?
Oh yeah.
No, both. It's so funny. You are both the problem and the solution the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
I'm the problem, it's me.
So you find out that Hugo with this macula has powers. So at the very, very end of the first game, he can like just barely control the rats. Yeah. In the second one, you can use them. It turns into like first person, like it's almost like the monster cam from Evil Dead 1 and 2, where you're just this like being and you're just fucking like killing people.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy. But the problem there is like he could potentially control his powers, except he's like 5.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this game, you are literally like, it's so funny when they talk about like hand holding, like an escort mission. Like you are literally a teenager holding your younger sibling's hand, like dragging them through this game.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And it can be frustrating.
That's it.
They capture like he is more annoying than Atreus is in God of War.
Oh no! Well,
like they capture like the way a 5-year-old would be, right? Like they do such a good job.
Interesting.
Does Kyle need more of that in his life?
I have one 5-year-old at home.
Honestly, you can get through it. The story of it's just so good.
Yeah.
Like that's the story, the character models, and the cutscenes are fantastic.
Yeah, so like that's a really cool thing about this game is to me this is like that AA studio that's punching up to make a AAA game. Like, and we've talked about that before where a lot of developers are doing that right now. But everything that the first game, the Innocence one did, like Requiem takes it and just amplifies it. You know, the graphics and the cutscenes are better. The animations are better. Gameplay is more fluid and less chunky. They give you more tools for combat and some of the abilities. And like the cool thing with the story and kind of how the rat powers are baked into Hugo is like the more he uses these powers and the more he lets his emotions kind of take over, the more that this disease starts to consume his body. And so you're like, well, it's cool that I can control thousands of rats and like eat these people to shreds. But I also kind of feel bad because I know that it's slowly just like destroying my, this character's little brother from the inside out. And so like the narrative blends that really, really well. And then towards the end of the game, there's some really cool like plot twists, and like to Trevor's point, this whole series takes like the worst case scenario of a domino effect and just, well, the dominoes fell, so fucking figure it out. It's gonna get worse. And like it's 2 games of that. And so like the story is to me, that's why you would play this game, similar to The Last of Us and a lot of games in that type of like genre. Is I would argue you're playing it first for the story and the character development, and the gameplay is secondary. It's serviceable. I wouldn't say it's the most like enjoyable gameplay experience, but it's the narrative that like that's what's carrying you through, because you want to see what happens to Hugo. How do they get out of this fucking crazy situation that they're in? Like that's the hook of this game.
Yeah.
This is the wildest backstory to Ratatouille.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, no talking rats.
Damn it.
Just wait for somebody to
Hasn't found that
mod
power
that.
yet.
Yeah, they'll mod it into the game, that modding community.
Yeah. They do a fun job. I do have to say, though, they do a fun job with like skill development in this game, in that it caters to how you want to play. Like there's times, yes, you have to use a stealth mechanic, or yes, you have to fight kind of this, like, I'll call it a boss arena, right? You've got some sort of event happening around like a bad guy. But all the things scale based on how you play the game. So like you earn more experience in stealth if you get through an area without attacking anybody.
Okay.
Or same thing. If like, it's so funny because like there's parts of like Helldivers that reminds me of this. Like,
Interesting.
it's like, well, you get into this backstory because essentially because there's like been 4 centuries and all this, towards the end of the game, like spoilers, anyone who hasn't played this game, you learn a bit more about like the initial Macula holder or the previous one. And it's all kind of like, as it's been told, it's written in stone, blah, blah, blah. And so each Macula holder has a protector. So obviously Amicia being the protector in this, kind of goes through like she has a lot of like PTSD stuff that they kind of cover, but then it also turns into like fucking psychotic rage.
Oh,
so like there's parts of the game where similar to like Helldivers, like she's just screaming as you're just fucking killing guys with slings. Like all you have is this like a sling and sort of a crossbow later on. Is like you're just firing rocks at people, just murdering dudes.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just this like super defensive, like protective mode over this little kid. And it's like, this is so fucked up. Like it's so dark. And you're just like, wow, like they really cover like the emotion of it. And like the voice acting in this as well is just superb.
Yeah.
It looks like a visually appealing game. Like it.
Yeah, like graphically, it's a super impressive game, especially from this kind of studio that I don't think a lot of people really know about. And like, Trevor mentioned it earlier on, like just from a logistic and like technical standpoint, for them to do the rat mechanic and like how many rats they can put onto a screen at one time. And like they're dynamic, they react to enemy characters. They react to elements, so fire, explosions, light. Like all of that is happening dynamically as you're going through the level. And so there's a lot of the stages throughout the game where like you'll do the classic God of War shimmy through a small crack.
There's a couple of those.
You know,
the not a loading screen screen.
yeah.
They do some more fun ones because you have two characters. So and he's so small. So there's like the, lift him up to the ledge, help him down from a ledge type stuff. But there is a couple crevice shimmies for sure.
Yeah. But like
I'm
as soon
okay with those.
as soon as you get through that, they'll put you into this big oversized level. And the cool thing with the gameplay is it's like, tackle this however you want. It's like, do you want to kill everybody that's in this area? Go ahead. Do you want to use the rats that are in like this area over here? You can do that to kill everyone. Yeah. It's like, but if you want to completely just negate all of that and go this direction and just kind of like kill the one person that's holding the key to the door and then, pick that up and go through. And so it's like, there's a lot of variation to how you can tackle the situations. And there was times where like, I'd be like, you know what, I think this is going to be the best way to do it. And I immediately get murdered.
or just immediately falls apart
this decision immediately.
Yeah. Or it just immediately falls apart into running away and killing everybody. Like that's the backup plan every time.
Yeah. So it's like, fuck, okay, maybe I'll go a different route with this next one.
Because similar to like a Last of Us, or even like maybe I'm trying to think of like Assassin's Creed or other like stealth games, like you kind of have like the warning of like, oh, someone spotted movement.
Yeah.
And you kind of got like the loading bar, and then it's like, oh shit, they see you, and then they're coming for you.
The Spider-Man missions.
Yeah. It's exactly that. Like it's the same, very, very similar style. Like Jordan said, it's really cool. Like if a guy's walking near rats and they're not attacking him because he's holding a torch, you have like a smoke powder that will put out his torch, and then he will get mobbed by rats.
Oh, dang.
Oh, sweet.
So like you can make them do bad shit for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like it never gets old either. Like when you're hiding in the bush and you throw something to extinguish a bonfire or like a guy's torch, and then within seconds his body is eaten and he's just like his armor's on the floor, bones, and he's dead.
Gone. Yeah.
Like it's cool every time.
I have a weird question. I don't know if this was like a fever dream or something for me.
Oh, God.
There was a movie where a dude controlled rats with his mind. And it was the main actor in it was also in Charlie's Angels as like the creepy dude that like smelled their hair. Do you know who I'm talking about?
What?
No idea.
I swear to God, that was a thing.
I know there was a rat character in the last Suicide Squad movie, but that was a female character. But she controlled rats.
I believe it's called Willard, Kyle.
Willard? Is that like a 90s movie or some shit?
No, it was
2003.
I missed that one.
Okay, who's the actor? Because it's killing me.
This is like another one of those wild movies that Kyle subjected his.
Crispin. His name is Crispin Glover. Crispin Glover with his like little comb over thing.
I don't ask me how I remember this, but that's immediately what came to my mind.
Because you watched some of the worst fucking
I have
weird
not
movies.
Watched it. Dude,
This wasn't a fever dream. This was you watched this one night.
Yeah.
And forgot about it.
I did not watch this movie. I saw a trailer. No, I saw a trailer of it. That's it.
You're probably right. If Nicolas Cage isn't in it, you might be. There might have.
Yeah, you skipped it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. But that's definitely what this reminds me of.
Yeah, like it's so funny because they're trying to essentially learn about Hugo's like illness and then cure him, but every time they go somewhere that they think is going to help, more bad things happen, and then Hugo freaks out, and then all the rats come there and like spread the plague.
Yeah.
So
like he's the problem.
Just
like they end up escaping to an island where there's like this
fucking cult.
Yeah, it's like an ancient cult that's lived there forever, and they've been sacrificing people to, try and like gain powers and survive.
Summon the rats and stuff. Yeah, it's so weird.
And like it goes from this like beautiful tropical island and really cool
south of France, Mediterranean.
Yeah, and you're walking through this village and it's like, oh, this is really nice, and there's a lot less blood and mud on the ground than I'm used to this game having.
It's just been swept under the rug.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah,
yeah. Basically, 20 minutes later, it's just fucking chaos again. Like, it's nuts.
All right, so I think that actually might be a good time. Speaking of fucking chaos, to take a little break from this super depressing 14th century France to bring it to Daryl with our very first fantasy face-off of the season.
Let's go.
I know you've been ruminating on this for a few months, so I'm excited to see what you brought.
Ruminating, good word.
That is a good one.
Fantasy face-off. Fight.
Don't you?
It's a team battle.
Oh,
we're
like
going
the team ones.
Yeah, we're going old school. It's been a while since we had a Marvel versus DC matchup.
It's been a while.
So I thought, you know what? Let's just start season 6 contentious. Let's just get after it.
Just fighting each other.
Yeah.
These are not everybody from this age will know these two groups, but if you watched any sort of media or have read any comic books at all in the past, you will be familiar with this. So it is the Doom Patrol versus the Fantastic Four.
Ooh.
Good one.
Two very different groupings, lots of different powers and dynamics there, obviously, but some pretty, eclectic skills between the two groups, a variety of skill sets and powers and abilities. So I thought, what the hell? Let's try and stump Kyle first part of the season.
Now, I'm not familiar with Doom Patrol.
It was Doom Patrol had a big resurgence in popular, because of the show. So
I've seen it pop up. I've just never. I was like, DC.
If this is based purely on Rotten Tomatoes IMDb ratings, Doom Patrol is the clear victor.
Okay, we don't talk about the movies.
That's a low bar to beat. That's a low bar.
Fantastic Four movies have been notoriously shite.
The Rise of Silver Surfer.
Every time they've tried to do one, it's been ass.
Yeah.
The last one wasn't like the worst, but like it just had weird casting and story. Yeah. It just wasn't. I mean, I don't mind looking at Jessica Alba in a tight suit, but like that, the movie has to have some substance. Like it has to have something.
For reference, folks, Daryl's also a fan of Megan Fox, so do with that information.
I mean, they knew what they were doing when they cast that movie.
Oh yeah. Tight spandex.
Okay,
all right,
there's an audience. They found it.
They're flipping the script. Okay, they are bringing in Pedro Pascal for all the ladies in the new one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go based on just like comic book Fantastic Four.
Smart.
Yes.
Smart.
Yeah.
Reed Richards is one of the most brilliant scientists and minds in the Marvel universe. We agree on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think a rough and tumble ragtag group like Doom Patrol is going to outthink him or outsmart him.
That's fair. I just wish he had a better part. Like I wish he had better power than being Gumby. Like
Armstrong.
So what we're saying, it's not a stretch for the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
I mean, Doom Patrol could basically Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and throw them in a fucking briefcase or something. Like that wouldn't surprise me in this fight.
I'm
man.
pretty sure the
Fantastic
Human
Four.
Torch would kill most of them immediately, but
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when he's denied a bank loan.
that's right.
And I mean, to be honest, like Cliff Steele is Doctor Doom without any additional powers, right? Like,
Well, that's actually, I'm glad you said that because that was the angle I was going for. I was like, I really hope somebody sees the parallel here. Like,
just a metal dude, but like, does he like aside? I assume he's like strong and like it's hard to hurt him because he's made of metal. I don't
Yeah,
know as
he's
much as
Colossus.
well, but he like I'm assuming he doesn't have like any other magic powers.
like
of
him
some
and
kind?
Thing like would be a good
Yeah,
battle.
they would
Like,
go toe
okay.
to toe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but he's
yeah,
not like he doesn't have like superpowers of any other kind.
no.
Okay,
He just metal.
They're a good team.
Other than being played by Brendan Fraser in the show, which is pretty great.
yeah,
I like
Love
that.
Brendan Fraser.
He's a
I love
gem.
Brendan Fraser, yeah. It's a
Yeah.
G. Honestly, as much as I love to shit on the MC when Kyle's involved,
It's out of spite at this point.
Yeah.
It's not even out of anything based in reality. It's just pure spite.
I do agree that, like, you know, person to person, if you line them up, Fantastic Four is not only a better team, I would say they work together better, but I think their powers are more kind of in tune and powerful against
Synergistic.
against a group like Doom Patrol. I have to go Fantastic Four on this one. I think, as much as I love the DC, I just don't think Doom Patrol's going to make it out.
yep. I'm going for the industrial accident in space versus the industrial accident on Earth powers.
Yeah.
Space powers are better.
But obviously we're not going with
Cosmic over concrete.
spaghetti.
Yeah.
Spaghetti Reed Richards from
No.
No.
I mean, I would have taken a John Krasinski Reed Richards as well.
I wish he was cast.
That was such a
that's
fumble.
perfect.
That's such a fumble.
That would have been the perfect casting.
I know he probably doesn't want to be associated with that or like take that kind
Especially if
of
it's bad.
Yeah.
like long-term deal and like character like you're restricted to playing that character for quite a while. It's hard to do other films when you get into the MCU.
I don't know. Maybe you just like fuck up the whole universe and get your contract annulled. Right,
Yeah.
Jonathan Majors?
He was such he's such a good actor too. It's such a shame.
Yeah, except he's
Such a
fucking-
shame. Some of them are such shitty people.
I
Yeah.
know, it sucks.
Just remember, folks, being famous doesn't make you a good person.
No,
It's true.
or that you don't like no longer have to follow the normal societal rules.
Yeah,
Like,
or you're above consequences.
yeah.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake. Like, although the happy side of all of this.
However,
Oh, shit, I'm
in
not-
some situations,
I do not endorse whatever Kyle's about to say.
I am not. No, this isn't like a Jonathan Majors apologist segment.
Oh God.
Okay.
No, this is him getting removed from the MCU as Kang was probably the best thing for the MCU right now. Because that whole, like, the whole phase 5 and phase 6 was a fucking mess.
Yeah, but now it's just left like, whatever.
Good. Let's regroup. Let's find something new. Let's get
That's
Dr. Doom
worse
in there.
to me.
They killed
Get
That's
Mr.
worse.
Sinister.
Blade. They got rid of Blade.
Yeah,
That's
all I
Blade got
cared about.
canceled.
That makes me sad.
Maybe Deadpool. Deadpool's going to carry the team. Deadpool's going to be the new Professor Xavier and
Yeah,
just bring the X-Force together.
Oh my god, man! But like, I'm still fucking excited for that Deadpool and Wolverine. It's gonna be
you have
so
no idea.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's finally going to introduce mutants into the MCU. Like, it's going to
Finally.
X-Men and
What about
yeah, no, we're
Black
gonna
Widow was the first introduction.
it's all that
Was
movie
it?
was
I
shit.
thought it was Ms. Marvel.
No. I don't think so.
I swear
Wasn't
to
it
God,
the
it was either
Eternals?
Ms. Marvel or Black Panther 2.
or the
That was the
Eternals?
first mention of like mutants.
The fact that we can't remember tells you how shitty the
I'm
introduction.
pretty sure. No, it's that prisoner in the like that her dad meets in Black Widow. That's like the first like actual hardcore. This is a mutant. I'm pretty sure it's the first one.
They used the M word legally.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I'm gonna Google it.
Okay. You know,
That's my stand.
we've really ventured far off of our topic of
Well,
conversation.
Fantastic Four won. It's a clear victory.
Clear
I didn't
victory.
really think this battle was going to be close, but it was like the closest thing I could find for like a battle that wasn't the Justice League against the Fantastic Four. I just wanted to talk about the Fantastic Four because I think this is like it's obviously coming. It's looming for the MCU.
Yeah.
But it's in the comic book world. They're so important, and like,
Yeah.
I can't believe that they've been glossed over this like far into the MCU. But like, obviously they have fucked up those movies like every time they've tried beforehand.
massive.
This is their official last chance.
Yeah, this is the last chance.
If this doesn't work, just fucking stop. I don't know who keeps funding these movies and making them terribly.
Because the next logical person after Kang is Doctor Doom. Like if you're going like high echelon, like top notch villains, the next guy is Doctor Doom.
Well, it's Doctor Doom, and then it's Galactus.
Or you're going like Apocalypse, Galactus, like
Yeah. Like to me, Galactus is the next Thanos type universal villain.
Doctor Doom does some crazy shit in the comics.
Yes, he does.
Yes.
Oh, he does. Absolutely. I agree.
Okay, I found some information.
uh-oh.
So Professor Xavier in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse
Yeah.
is the first like confirmed like mutant character.
Okay.
But in Ms. Marvel, she's also like it's confirmed that she carries the mutant gene, and they actually say that out loud and actually play that like the little X-Men soundbite in there too. Exactly. And Namor in
Black Panther.
Wakanda Forever
Was a mutant.
is, he's commonly referred to as Marvel's first mutant. So those are like the three big ones. And I mean, like Wolverine has never been referred to as a mutant.
But he is.
He is.
He 100% is.
Yeah, but they haven't really talked or showed him in anything actual Disney based though.
No. So within the MCU, it's like Ms. Marvel and
Namor.
Professor X.
And a bit of Namor.
And a bit of Namor.
And Black Panther.
And that's it.
Yeah.
But
All right, no more of this conversation.
my God.
Time to go back to the.
yeah, let's.
Beat me to it, Daryl.
Okay, so you guys gave us like the main bread and butter, the meat and potatoes of Plague Tale.
What's next?
Well, yeah, what's next? Like where could they go with this? Is there going to be another?
Yes, I think. So I won't spoil the end of the game. I honestly think you guys should both play it, but I won't spoil the end. But like the end, it's so funny because even compared to
Sounds stressful.
even compared to the first one, like the first one had a final boss.
Yeah.
This one like doesn't really have a boss fight. It just has this like insane sequence of stuff.
With a choice.
Come on, man. Just spoil me like a 2-month-old baguette.
Spoil that shit. Okay,
Spoil
folks,
it?
this is
Okay.
spoilers at this point.
So spoilers going forward. So as part of the quest line, you guys find the temple that is the like original Macula kid. And so what they were trying to do is they were trying to harness his powers. And what it did is they essentially locked him in the bottom of this fucking like subterranean tower and tied him up. And they ended up having to kill him. And that's what like released all the rats originally.
oh shit.
Basically his rage for being
just
locked
exploded.
up.
Yeah, which is what you see with Hugo. He starts getting more rageful and like he's like, I'm gonna kill people. And you're like, holy shit, like this 5-year-old's going crazy.
You could say he wasn't done his rat race.
Yes. So essentially Hugo starts getting like taken over by the Macula. Like he kind of like alter egos. And then he goes, I think it's into the temple. I can't remember exactly where he goes. And he essentially like cocoons into this like chrysalis of like hatred. It's the only way to describe it. And so the final sequence is you like trying to get to him while dodging literal waves, like washing waves of rats that will kill you.
Yeah.
And you get to the end and you've kind of had this discussion with Lucas because he finally catches up with you. And you have to kill him. So she ends up having to like kill her own brother, like rock to the head,
Holy
like
shit.
murdering him.
Yeah.
And then it's just black, like cut to black. You're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Holy
then-
shit.
Yikes.
Because of all the information they've given you through this game, it cuts to a scene where you hear a very modern hospital
Like
EKG
beeping
machine
sound. Yeah.
beeping, and then a kid, like the arm of a kid with an IV, and he's got like the little black vein
Of
that
the
matches what
macula.
Hugo has of the macula. Because then it's like, I can't remember if they give a year or not, but it's like
No, I don't think they do.
2000 something, right? Like it's modern times now because it's been X generations.
Oh, snap.
So it's like, well, are they going to do a whole new story, or is this going to be some sort of like flashback story? Like, is this person going to go back and retrace the steps of Hugo and Amicia? Sort of like they kind of retrace the steps of the people before them. And like, that's all they give you. It's like the classic Marvel end scene that's like 10 seconds long. And you're like, wait, what is going to happen?
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a
It-
crazy ending. Holy, that's like a.
God damn, that's so fucking heavy.
That's
It is.
I
It was
was like,
like even
okay.
Jordan was like, tell me when you're done. Cause I was like, what the fuck just
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah, like like you have to make that choice, and then yeah, like there's this scene where like basically you've bought or you now own a cabin way up in the mountains.
Oh,
and,
yes.
and like you meet up with Lucas, and you're still trying to get over the trauma of killing your fucking brother.
I'm sure you get over that, but
Yeah, and like you end up going to kind of like his final resting place, and you pay homage to him, and like that's super heavy and emotional after everything that the two of you have been through for 2 games worth. And then yeah, after all of that, you're like, oh, okay, maybe there's some, happiness or at least comfort for Amicia that she can kind of try to move on with her life. And then, yeah, it throws this like MCU end credit scene. And you're like, what the fuck? Like,
I stopped the Black Plague.
yeah.
Was it a good thing? We'll never know.
Not expecting it at all. And
48
especially
hours
to jump.
later.
Yeah.
Well, the big thing too, because they're in a cabin. I forgot about that part. They're in a cabin, and Lucas comes, and they're like moving on because what she's trying to do is she's essentially trying to collect as much information as possible to like create a record to like explain this so that if it happens again, like she's thinking
know what to
ahead
do.
for the next generation.
Yeah.
Because like the previous protector was like murdered because she was trying to like protect / like I think murder the kid as well because she realized what was happening.
Yeah.
So she's like free now in a world that doesn't have the plague, but she's still trying to like hunt down all this information to leave some sort of a treasure
Guide
map
to-
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's going to be the next one. Like you find the book or something.
Yeah. When I think Lucas, like, isn't Lucas part of a, isn't he part of
It's
like
like
an
the Order.
organization? Yeah. That kind of like,
But
they
but we
watch
also-
the macula from a distance sort of thing.
Yeah, so that's the guy who we met at the start who like is supposed to help, but like everyone else in the order, they're just trying to like contain him because they don't understand that by trying to like contain him and harness his powers, it's just going to get worse. You need to
right.
like keep him. Essentially, the goal of it was to keep him calm and like move him to the mountains in the middle of fucking nowhere where he could just be at peace.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lucas was like kind of part of the order, and then the order is like, yeah, it's just like, freaking
Corrupt.
Illuminati in the background that you don't really know and you don't know what they're trying to do. So there's a couple like unanswered questions. I'm just curious how they're going to translate it from, 14th century France climbing through fields and using a literal slingshot to kill people to like modern era. Like it feels very much like a transition from like Assassin's Creed 1, where you go from like playing your like historical family member like Ezio and then coming back to the modern era and doing like stealth shit in a corporate office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it feels like that transition. So I just don't know how they're going to handle it.
Yeah. Like I feel like a lot of the mechanics and stuff and like would have to change to fit a modern era.
It could. I mean, same thing. Like it would play. It plays a ton like Last of Us.
Okay.
Right. You've got people who are kind of like they're doing like their rounds. They're aware of you. You've got stuff to hide in, ways to distract them. So like it translates to a modern game. I just don't know how they're going to tell the story.
Yeah, like I think that the story aspect of it is the most interesting, because how do you progress hundreds of years into the future? And then
just use 2020 as an example. That's all.
Well, I can't remember when.
Suddenly it's 4 years later.
Because I was wondering, like, when the game came out, I was like, did you guys like base this off of code? Like, it came out in so it got released in 2022. So I'm wondering if honestly that's how they targeted it at the end, being like, if we did a sequel, how do you want to do this? And everyone's like, fucking working from home. They're like, some things answer themselves.
Yeah. It's like, we already kind of have that, right?
Has it been confirmed that there's a third one? Like, did we know for sure?
I don't think they've confirmed publicly, but this game. So when this game first came out, it hit Xbox Game Pass like right away. I think it was day one on Xbox. It still sold incredibly well. Like I think they doubled the sales of the first game within like the first week or two. And then, a year later, it finally hit PlayStation Plus. But yeah, I mean, commercially, like I would view it as a success. Everybody slept on the first game. I didn't play the first game till probably 2 or 3 years after release. And only because that was on PS Plus.
Okay.
It was a free game at the time. But this game had a way higher budget. There was marketing behind it. They were promoting it leading up. And then, like I said, the sales wise, it crushed the first game. So I'd be shocked if they didn't do a third one. I'd be really surprised.
Interesting.
Especially with a cliffhanger scene like that. Like,
but it seems to have set up a future possibility for sure.
Yeah, they left it if they ever do go back to it.
Yeah. But like the modern day thing is interesting though, because I don't know, to me, and like here, Trevor, I'm curious what your thoughts are, but like to me, part of the fascination of this game is the time period, as well as like you're kind of in medieval times. You're around a lot of knights and a lot of like heavily armored people trying to kill you. And not once do you ever pick up a sword or a mace or a spear or like any of these crazy weapons. And so like, it's really interesting to see how destructive your character is while using virtually nothing.
With a swarm of rats.
Well, it's like one of those things, like every once in a while you see on like Instagram or TikTok or something, you'll see someone actually showing how like an old world slingshot works. Like where you actually like not like the kid with the pebble
like
one.
David and Goliath swing.
And that's exactly what it is. It's the whole time it is David Goliath. Like if anyone here wants a deeply written female character, like non-stereotypical, like well-written character, it's Amicia. They do such a good job. And that's the whole thing, right? You literally have like, it's like, the different enemy types and you have to deal with them. You have literal dudes in like armor, like full plate armor, and you have to deal with them using problem solving and a fucking slingshot. And it just creates these like really cool moments. And then they also have just like some of the most vile, terrible characters that you can think of.
Awful people.
Yeah.
Awful people.
So like my thought is either they're like the next one's going to be kind of like, I don't want to say like Tomb Raider Uncharted-y, where you're like kind of, diving into like the history of it.
Yeah.
Or they're going to do like kind of a mix of flashbacks and modern era to kind of see, what happened to Amicia on her journey and what's happening to this person now.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, doing some flashback stuff would be pretty cool. Like somehow, like if the new kid with the macula was able to like transfer his consciousness into an ancestor sort of thing. And like all of a sudden you're playing as a character hundreds of years in the past, like that could maybe be interesting. But Yeah, I just don't know from a story perspective if modern day will be as interesting.
Could be a little too triggering for some people to play that game.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it could come across as insensitive in a way. Like, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they handle that. But yeah, if you're into well-written characters and very, very good stories with like heavy emotional moments, both of these games are worth playing for sure.
Yeah.
And these are the
this
kinds
sounds
of,
interesting. Definitely start with the first one.
Yes, yeah, because they are.
And that's
like,
Plague Tale Requiem or
Innocence.
Innocence is the first one.
Then Requiem.
Yeah, you can kind of tell from the cover art too. Like they kind of go from like a little bit nicer to like holy shit. Like
we've seen
some stuff.
We've seen some shit. Yeah.
I'm no longer innocent.
Yeah, I have seen
This
some
is
things.
now Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a completely different one.
I do appreciate this game as well. Like from a gameplay standpoint, if you're very interested in the story based on what we've said, but you're either not very good at games or like you don't want to be stressed out the whole time, just turn down the difficulty. Like you could very easily put this on easy mode and just play it through for the narrative, and you'll still have a phenomenal experience with it. But you can scale it to however you want, which is nice. If you're the kind of person that loves like Telltale games, and you're like, shit, the gameplay of this kind of makes me nervous, just put it on easy mode. And it's like, the story is worth experiencing for that alone. Like you got to check it out for sure.
Awesome. Well, I think that just closes the book on this tale for now. Thank you guys for doing the deep dive for us. I know Daryl and I took a bit of a back seat, but that's how it goes sometimes. Again, Plague Tale, Innocence, and Requiem. If you like story-based depressing shit, give it a shot, because it's definitely up your alley if you need a change of pace that way. As always, please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, tell us what you thought of it. Are you super sad after playing it too? Do you feel the urge to control rats? Is our take on Marvel movies completely off base?
We're never wrong about that. We're never wrong about that.
Other than that, I think that was a solid good enough.
It's good enough.
Good enough.
Good enough.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for more content. We also invite you to write an email or join us on Discord to talk about anything from our episodes or something else you would like to discuss in the future. Please subscribe to the Good Enough Gaming Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you listen to your podcasts. And remember, we might not be great, but we are good enough.